Okay, I want to talk about something that I don't hear discussed very often in marketing, and anywhere for that matter. And the more I've been thinking about it, the more important I think it is. And we talk about we talk about it, everybody talks about this thing in their everyday life, and we'll get to that later, but it's interesting how it applies to marketing. And it's the idea that two people can have almost the exact same experience with a company and walk away feeling completely different about it. Same product, same service, same company. One person loves it, the other person thinks it sucked. So, what changed? A lot of the time, I think the answer is their expectations. And this isn't just a marketing thing either. We do this everywhere in life. Movies are a really obvious example for me. If everybody tells me a movie is incredible, it's the best movie they've seen all year. I have to see it. It's unbelievable or whatever. By the time I actually go see the movie, my expectations are so high that it's almost impossible for the movie to live up to them. It it could be a really good movie, but I still walk out thinking, it was all right, or it was a good movie, but not great. And then the opposite happens. I'll go into a movie knowing basically nothing about it. Maybe I don't even expect it to be a particularly good movie. And I end up loving it. The movie didn't have some kind of advantage. My expectations changed. My expectations changed the experience. Restaurants are the same way. Someone tells you about this incredible restaurant. You have to go there. Best steak they've ever had. Best whatever they've ever had. So you finally go. And maybe it's actually a really good restaurant, but you've spent the last 2 weeks expecting some life-changing steak. Then you eat it and you think, yeah, that's it. Now you're disappointed. You might even tell somebody the restaurant isn't very good. But was the restaurant actually bad? You checked the reviews. It seems to be staying in business. So, maybe not. Maybe it was really good. It just wasn't as good as the restaurant that existed in your head before you walked through the door. And that's where I think this becomes incredibly important for marketers. Because whether you realize it or not, you're setting expectations all the time. Marketing doesn't just convince someone to buy something. Marketing, it helps create the experience they're experiencing. Marketing helps create the experience they're expecting to have once they buy it. Your ads are setting expectations. Your website is setting expectations. Social media is setting expectations. Your photography, your messaging, your price, your package, the way your salespeople talk, the way customer service interacts with somebody. All of these little things are contributing to an idea in the customer's head about what interacting with your company is supposed to feel like. And then eventually, reality shows up. They get the product. They use the service. They walk into the store. They open the box, whatever it is. And now they're comparing what actually happened against the expectations you've been building. That's the part I don't think marketers think about enough. We spend a lot of time trying to make things sound as good as possible. Obviously, that's marketing. But there's a point where making the promise bigger doesn't necessarily make the marketing better, because eventually you have to deliver against that promise. You can have a legitimately great product and still create a disappointed customer if your marketing convinced them they were getting something even better. And the opposite can happen too. Sometimes a 5-star experience is just a 2-star expectation. And I love that idea because we've all experienced it. You weren't expecting much, then the company surprised you. Maybe the packaging was nicer than you expected. Maybe customer service solved your problem faster than you expected. Maybe you ordered something and it showed up 2 days earlier than they told you it would. That's the best. Maybe there was some little detail nobody promised you that made the experience better. Those moments feel disproportionately good because reality exceeded the expectation. Now, I'm not saying the strategy should be intentionally making your company sound mediocre so that everybody is impressed when you aren't terrible. That would be ridiculous. The lesson isn't set low expectations. The lesson is to set the right expectations. And I think there's a pretty big difference between those things. Your marketing should make people excited. It should communicate value. It should show people why your product matters. But it also needs to accurately prepare them for the experience they're actually going to have. Because if your marketing and your experience don't match, you've created a problem for yourself. And this gets even more interesting when you start thinking about price. Price itself sets an expectation. If I buy a $20 version of something, I have one set of expectations. If I buy a $200 version of basically the same thing, my expectations change. Before I've even opened the box, before I've used it, before I know whether it's actually better, the price has already told me something. This is premium. This should be better. This should feel different. And there's another weird psychological thing that can happen there too. Sometimes because we paid more, we actually want to believe it's better. We've already made the decision. We spent the money, so now we start finding reasons to confirm that we made the right choice. And that's getting into confirmation bias and some other areas of psychology, so it's probably another video entirely. But it shows how complicated expectations can get. The customer isn't experiencing your product in a vacuum. They're bringing everything that happened before the purchase into the experience with them. Which is why I think one of the jobs of a marketer is to help design that experience from the very first touch point. Not control it. You can't control exactly how somebody's going to feel, but you can be intentional about what you're communicating. What expectations does this ad create? What expectations does our website create? What does our pricing communicate? What do people expect after talking to our sales team? And then the bigger question, can we actually deliver that? Because maybe great marketing isn't about creating the highest possible expectations. Maybe great marketing is about creating the right expectations and then delivering on them. Or even better, exceeding on them when you can. That's how trust gets built. The promise matches the experience. And when that happens enough times, the customer stops wondering whether you're going to deliver. They start expecting you to. And that might sound scary, but at that point, we're not really talking about marketing campaign anymore. We're talking about a brand. Because your brand is, at least in part, the collection of expectations people have about what will happen when they interact with you. And those expectations are incredibly valuable. So maybe we need to think differently about what marketing is doing. We're not only telling people what to buy, we're teaching them what to expect. And whatever expectation we create, eventually the experience has to answer for it. Understanding people will always be more, will always matter more than understanding marketing. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a great topic. Leave your comments below. Give me a subscribe if you feel like this was a great video, and I'll see you next time.